a super dad who spanks. Lois falls for a super uggo, and saving the day with Asbestos. I'm Kurt Money, and today on the Mind Grapes, I've got 5 Silver Age Superman storylines that will never be movies. This is Gateways. First up, Asbestos anything. One of my sources today is volume 1 of the omnibus, which covers the Silver Age from 58 to 60. Actually, it's right there. I love it. But that only covers 2 years, and twice Asbestos is used by Superman as like a little trick to save the day. And both times involve making gloves, actually. In the issue called The Steeplejack of Steel, great title, by the way, Superman goes undercover as Kirk Brent, an out-of-work construction worker that's hoping to nail shady contractor Bart Benson for his shoddy building. Benson is suspicious right off the bat, even though he does give Kirk Brent the job. But he's like, oh no, his hands aren't calloused. This guy's a total fake. And so Benson says, oh, it's got to be a city inspector here to like give me a ticket or something. So he decides to out this supposed city inspector by putting him in dangerous situations, i.e. trying to kill him multiple times. Of course it doesn't work because our man Kirk Brent's Superman. But Superman's undercover. Okay, so he's got to make it look like it was Kirk Brent doing all this. Like, he tries to kill him with, like, wobbling the rods and stuff. Superman's like, oh, I do gymnastics to warm up. No problem here. And then Benson's, like, throwing hot rivets at him, and he doesn't have a bucket to catch him in. And this is where the Asbestos comes in, and I friggin' love it. Kirk Brent is like, what can I do? Oh, I know. Here's an open bag of asbestos. I'll just super compress it to make gloves out of it so I can catch these rivets in my bare hands. And boom, he totally does, and it works. Benson thinks that he found gloves somewhere. No, I just went off to the goog here for a second.
To the goog.
And apparently, some places do still use asbestos. But I don't know about you, my entire life, I've been taught that asbestos is a no-no, okay? And like, I get it, it doesn't affect Superman. He's freaking Superman. But he does find an open bag of it right there on the construction site. So like, I don't know how this stuff used to be used, but somebody around there's getting something, okay? So that right there, clearly not happening today. Honestly, it's kind of like how you used to be able to get thallium at the drugstore. Because people, it was in like rat poison and stuff. But then some people realized, hey, if it kills rats, it could probably kill humans. So that happened a few too many times. And then it got banned in the 70s, just like asbestos did. So basically, that was a perfect analogy.
Good, honey.
Another time he uses asbestos in the Superman Bizarro. Superman is on trial for his life because he broke the Bizarro code of living by being too perfect. You're not allowed to be perfect in Bizarro world, okay? And if Superman is anything, he is a law-abiding citizen. So he's on trial, and in between court days, he falls asleep and has this dream where he gets turned into Bizarro, which is what'll happen if he's found guilty. And then when he goes back to Metropolis, he uses asbestos that he has just lying around the Fortress of Solitude to make a mask and hands like straight up Ethan Hunt style. That way he can go to Metropolis and be like, look at me, this stuff survived the flight, I guess. So these are my real hands. It works a little until later it gets worn off. Anyway, the point is that was just a dream, okay? But that's not going to happen in a Superman movie today, and neither is number 4. Metropolis goes ape crazy. Sorry, Titano. As much as I love you, something tells me that you're going to be sitting the bench for a long time because Warner Brothers, who owns Superman, also owns King Kong. And they're kind of deep in a King Kong run right now, so I really doubt we're going to get a Superman movie where he fights Titano. Now, this may not seem fair, as King Kong does not have kryptonite laser eyes that are blocked by making giant glasses of lead for him. Nor is King Kong defeated by being hurled into the past by Superman. But them's the breaks, kid.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
I agree, Titano. But I'm sorry to say that my favorite ape in the Silver Age Superman stories has got to be Old Bongo. I'm not adding old there. Dude's name is Old Bongo. The oldest ape in the Metropolis Zoo, who is so old and decrepit and hard to look at that he's driving customers and kids away in the issue, How Perry White Hired Clark Kent. This is a flashback issue where we find out all the stuff that Clark had to do to impress Perry White to hire him. One of those things Perry White suggests is, hey, go down to the Metropolis Zoo for us and get a great yarn. That's what he keeps calling him, yarn. Get a great yarn about Old Bongo. Get that, then we can talk. And so Superman concocts this plan. He goes, okay, interesting. Old Bongo. People think he's past his prime. Everybody loves Ferocchio here. So here's what Clark does. He goes to a costume store, gets an ape costume for himself, goes to the zoo, punches out Ferocchio, pretends to be Ferocchio, hops in the cage, and then instigates a fight with Old Bongo and then purposely loses it. This is so funny. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see this in a movie today. I would love it, but it's just not gonna happen, all right? We can't put him in a suit. Him as a CGI ape would be dumb. And I actually, you know what? I could almost see a world where he's undercover as an ape and wins a fight. There's something about this, though, where he's in an ape costume, picks a fight, and then loses it on purpose. There's no way that's not hysterical. I mean, that's damn funny. Seeing this on the screen, it would fall somewhere between Beaks' Fate and Trading Places and Seth Green's love story in Old Dogs. It ain't working.
So lost without you.
Number 3, super ventriloquism, parentheses, puppetry of any kind. It's just too silly to see it today, but they used it a lot in the Silver Age. Superman is forever throwing his voice like miles away to trick somebody into thinking he's somebody else. They straight up call it super ventriloquism. That's not me making it up for like a cute headline or whatever. That's what they called it. And one could argue puppetry happens a lot in the Silver Age because this was kind of new to me. I didn't know this, but Superman has like a bunch of robot supermen that he employs when he needs it. And they each have like a specific skill of his that Superman has. And the best one, and I say best in quotes, has a name, and his name is Hambone. And that's because he has a love for showbiz. And you're thinking, when would Hambone come in handy? Well, in the Super Clown of Metropolis. A great issue, although crazy absurd. I mean, this would never work. This guy is dying. He's like, Superman, I'll donate my billions to a charity of your choice if you can make me laugh. And Superman cannot do it, even with his trusted, hilarious, funny robot, Hambone. Sadly, Hambone fails, but it's easy to see why. He don't got it. All right? Sorry, Hambone. None of this is working. No way this makes it into a Superman movie today. Same goes for when they do literal puppetry, like Stromboli style, because that happens too. When he tricks Lex Luthor into thinking that he's immune to kryptonite because he's like still up and walking around, it's really Jimmy Olsen up there in the newsroom in the sky or whatever they call it. He's like pulling the strings of Superman down below. This ain't working. But we're not going to see this in live action. One, because it looks silly and kind of dumb, let's be honest. But also, and I think Superman would agree with me on this, Bernie kind of ate his lunch on this one. The whole concept is just so owned by Weekend at Bernie's that if you do it, you have to acknowledge in the story that you're pulling a Weekend at Bernie's. Just see a recent episode of The Studio.
We Weekend at Bernie's him! It's a terrible movie, but the conceit is genius!
You're not seriously considering we puppet his limp carcass across a casino floor.
Number 2 on my list goes to hide Supergirl at all costs. Like, we might see a Supergirl, of course, but we're never going to see Superman so dead set on ensuring that no one in the world knows that she exists. There's something creepy about it, okay? And actually, it's even mentioned in the foreword. Like, the guy who does the foreword is like, it is cringe-inducing. These are products of the time, which of course is true. But I would argue, I mean, it is cringe-inducing. I think it's like he wants to keep her in his pocket to use when he needs her and then keep the glory or something. And some might argue, hey, it's not cringe-inducing at all. Like, he's just being a protective older cousin. Because he is blood related to Supergirl. Let's remember this. Kara is blood relation to Superman. But I think we can all agree it's definitely cringeworthy in the Mighty Maid issue. Now, look, I know that a few years later in 62, he did allow Supergirl to be introduced to the world. So I'm not like tisk-tisking it as a whole. But what I am tisk-tisking specifically, something goes down here that is just ick on a few levels. No way in hell we're going to see this in a movie. Superman falls in love with a superhero from another dimension named Mighty Maid. They're so in love and so in tune with each other that Superman is like, sorry, Metropolis, I'm out of here. I'm moving to the 4th dimension. Peace out. And he pulls this off and everybody thinks it's true, especially Lois, who is like hella jealous and sad over there, crying. Except it's not true at all. It's just a giant hoax perpetrated by Superman because he heard some aliens in space were planning on attacking his home planet of Earth in retaliation for what Krypton did to their ships or something. He wanted them to think that he went to this new dimension so that they wouldn't be tempted to blow up Earth. But that's not what makes it cringe. You know, Superman lying. Although, not to him though. He never lies. That is very true, okay?
Lois? I never lie.
The cringe part is that the person who was playing Mighty Maid, the superhero that Superman is kissing on the cover of the issue and later in the pages, is actually Supergirl undercover, wearing a mask, which may or may not have been made out of asbestos. But forget the asbestos, they're kissing cousins over here. What? We literally see it. And it's like Lois is so jealous of Mighty Maid. And it's like, what? You kissed her, dude. And then it gets even weirder because now that he knows that the aliens like went into hypersleep or whatever, he leaves a note for him up in their ship that like, hey, when you guys wake up, this was totally a goof and I'm sorry. But anyway, he goes back to Metropolis and says, Lois, I'm back. Great news. Turns out she was too young. Okay? I couldn't marry her. She was 15. Oh! And Lois, poor girl's going, ha ha, I'm back in, baby. I just like, it's all of us just kind of ick. Anyway, it was weird. We're not seeing that in Superman movie today. Not happening. And speaking of Lois Lane, she sits here at the top spot. Lois Lane, husband, hungry, girl, reporter. In those 4 words, husband, hungry, girl, reporter. Those are the only things Lois in the Silver Age is about. I don't know. I'm not hating on their love story. Okay, I love their love story and I want them to get together. I get it. But I'm just happy to know that later they gave her a little bit more agency and stuff and let her do things not just as like a flippy girl reporter. Like they say that in there a bunch. Girl reporter. Supergirl's a girl because she's 15, remember? Gross. Lois is not a girl. But they have that before reporter anytime they're talking about her. I can't stress enough how often Lois Lane appears in these comics and her sole focus is getting that ring. She wants her last name to be Superman real bad. Like even sometimes when the whole story of the issue is about Lois, she's doing something in order to trick Superman into marrying her. There's one issue where Lois is on a game show and she wins, and the award is she gets like movie props from the movie they're making in world about Superman. It's called like The Boy from Krypton or something. And, you know, instead of selling those on eBay or saying like, come on, why can't I get a car or something? She's like, great. Now I can pretend to be this person named Rama and I'm from this other world. And this way Superman will love me and marry me. It's a bonks issue, okay? Look, I know it was the 50s and 60s. I'm not here from the future to scold the past because they aren't woke yet. Although I kind of want to scold them for the girl reporter thing. That's ridiculous. Oh, and this is where the Superman spanking his kids comes in. Because in one of them, Lois is having a dream. She sees Superman married with kids, but she can't see the face of his wife. And she's like, is it me? Is it me? And at the end, she thought LL meant Lois Lane, but it means Lady Luck or something. And she comes back, it's like, you two-time and bigoted, no good, so-and-so. But in that, their drama is when Superman's stuck with the kids. He's like, how do you spank super kids?
This is wrong.
And beyond just wanting to be Mrs. Superman, a lot of her stories are about, and this isn't just Lois, everybody in this world, you gotta be good looking, okay? There are a ton of stories. It's so funny. In one, Superman teaches Lois a lesson because she's double booked. She had 2 dates in one night and she has a date with Superman later. But in order to make sure her first date wraps up fast, she pretends to be like a crazy lady that this dude doesn't want to be around. And Superman wants to teach her a lesson, so he makes a face of like an ugly guy and wears it and tells Lois, oh, Lois, turns out that I'm actually look like this underneath. I'm actually wearing a handsome man mask when you see me. So do you still love me even now that I'm ugly? And what's funny is his ugly face is Alfred E. Newman, the Mad magazine guy. Again, I went off to the goo to confirm.
To the goo.
That's not like owned by Mad magazine. That was just kind of like the general consensus of what an ugly person looked like in newspapers since the 1800s. I'm not sure it's fair to redheads or the gap-toothed. When Bizarro Superman shows up, yeah, he's dumb. And he like runs into buildings on his way to saving people. But the main thing is how gross it is to look at his face. Like that's why he gets banished, like put in exile on some other world, because Superman's like, we can't have people having to look at this face, right? I mean, you guys get it. They make like a Bizarro Lois Lane to go live with him on another planet. That's how the whole Bizarro trial happened. It all started with the fact that Superman and Lois didn't want to have to stare at this face all the time. I just cannot see a movie today having one of our heroes care so much about being one of the beautiful people. So, it ain't happening. All right, so those are the 5 Silver Age Superman storylines that we will not be seeing in the movies anytime soon. And it's probably for the best, with the exception of Old Bongo. If there's a way to make Old Bongo work, I'm here for it. Okay? But other than that, kissing cousins, keep walking. Girl reporter, keep walking. Now, real talk, I'm not a huge comics guy. I've dipped my toe in and out, specifically with Superman. But this is the first time I dove in hard on the Silver Age because I got this omnibus book where it has them all in an order. That's all I want is to read them in order like this. And I feel like it's a lot harder than it needs to be. So if anybody out there knows how I can read the rest of the Silver Age comics without buying them individually on Amazon or Comixology or whatever, or waiting for the next volumes to come out, because I don't have that kind of patience. If anybody knows how I can read the rest of those, do tell me. What's funny is I've been into Superman before, It was 12 years ago, and I even made a video about it because it was 75 years of Superman. Man of Steel was coming out, and I did a video about the history of Superman, and I started reading a ton of his comics, like Red Sun and all this stuff, and I was loving it until I saw Man of Steel, and I absolutely hated it. Hated it so much that I got turned off of Superman altogether. Like, I was all about the dude, and just something about that movie, I was like, I'm peacing out until we get a new one in here. And here we are with a brand new soup. I'm ready to dive back in.
Good luck with that.
Oh, also, when I was making this video, I was like, oh, I gotta talk about Superman popping up on Seinfeld all the time. Well, guess what? I wanted to talk about that 12 years ago and did that in the video. So luckily for me, I did it before I found all the clips, because turns out I've already done it. Thank you, 2013, Kurt. Now I can just play that.
Speaking of fans, there have been a ton of homages and shoutouts to the guy over the years. My favorite superfan being Jerry Seinfeld.
I can see that.
Superman references are all over that show. I remember hearing a rumor that you could find a Superman reference in every single episode. Not true, but damn close. And actually, the magnet that everybody's thinking of didn't actually appear for the first time until season 4. But one of my favorite Superman references is when he dates a girl named Lois,
What are you gonna do, Jerry?
just so he could pretend that she's Lois Lane.
Don't worry, Lois. I'll think of something.
That's pretty great.
2013 Kurt Money. You had a lot going for you. You had hair on your head. You had a ring on your finger. But honestly, I pity you, 2013 Kurt Money. I pity you. Why? Because this was before I had discovered the magic of the burps. So I prefer current Kurt Money because I know how important it is to recognize Tibitboat at the end of the night before you go to bed. And poor 2013 Kurt Money didn't know. Don't be like him. Be like current Kurt. The one you're looking at right now who knows that Tibitboat.